to home from 15,000 francs upwards. Get to CAM1 centers for your subscription.
Our guideline strategies: customer centricity, change management. CAM1, the broadband universe.
Greetings and welcome to the newscast on CAM1 television. First are top stories. Limbe welcomes a newly appointed chief of police who promises to bring peace and security in the town. The recently created veterinary center in the Limbe 2 subdivision has a chief of center, Ms. Janet Aminking. India records a break wave of COVID-19 cases and deaths. Those were our top stories, developments, and more right ahead. Welcome back. I'm Swin Gole for presentation. Limbe welcomes a newly appointed chief of police who promises to bring peace and security in the town. Anyache Regina has the details.
The town of Limbe, southwest region of Cameroon, welcomes and counts on the government of the newly installed police officer. Among the 5 persons that were installed under the patronage of Simon Jean-Pierre Jumbe was John Ekemaliombe, who is chief of police. His mission is to enforce law and order in the town of Limbe, as well as protect the citizens from harm. He then calls on the entire population to collaborate with the police so as to maintain peace and security in the town of Limbe, the town of friendship.
The recently created veterinary center in the Limbe 2 subdivision, as chief of center, Ms. Janet Aminking, being aware of her responsibilities, takes up the challenge. Anyache Regina tells us more.
Mrs. Janet Aminking, the new chief of the recently created veterinary center Limbe 2 subdivision, has been asked to earnestly apply her best for the various stakeholders and the entire Limbe 2 population to secure the livestock, fisheries and animal stock industry so as to realize a fantastic output, and in accordance with this prospect, she is aware.
We used to have some disease like PPRO that we just, it was just last time that we do the vaccination for the goat. So this office would help all the farmers to make sure that we enlighten the farmer the benefit of vaccinating animals, treating your animals, taking care of your birds. Maybe because some of them, they don't know the advantage of taking care of their animals, especially these stray animals that they keep, they are just moving around.
The shout was made by the divisional officer for the Limbe 2 subdivision, Serge Meke Eba Albert, while officially appointing her as first ever chief of center of the newly constructed veterinary post. Molded with the support under the public expenditure for the Limbe 2 subdivision 2020 financial year, the in-state ceremony was witnessed by chief of services and sub-delegates of the various ministries, not leaving out family members and close friends.
UNESCO Regional Director of Central Africa, Sahel Cradle, together with his team, have recently visited the Bimbia site of the Limbe 3 subdivision. The objective of their visit is to enhance the value of site and the touristic potentials. The Bonga Perez reports.
It lies in southwest region, to the south of Mount Cameroon and to the west of the Uri estuary. Situated at the east coast of Limbe subdivision, Bimbia was an independent state of the Isubu people of Cameroon, annexed in 1884 by the Germans and incorporated in the colony of Cameroon. An area once known as a slave trade village equally serves as a touristic site for tourists and visitors in Cameroon, Africa and the world. The Bimbia site is a place for its rich mangrove and rainforest which promote the aspect of culture, nature and as to why Cameroon is referred as Africa in miniature. Recently, UNESCO's Regional Director for Central Africa, Salah Khalid, and his team have visited the Bimbia area to view the exceptional site and bring out the historical value. Being impressed by the beauty, nature and value of Bimbia, the main objective of the mission, apart from working on the enlisting of the site on the UNESCO World Heritage List, the major aim is to enhance the value of the site and the touristic potential. A project that will help in the inhabitants of that area benefit and be resilient economically with the advent of tourists to have created industries, and at the same time preserving the historical value of the site, said the regional director.
Our mission here today is, apart from retracing the historical value of this exceptional site of Bimbia, where we were really impressed by its beauty, by the nature, by its value, historical value, as the center of the slaves route, for the slaves trade route. The objective of UNESCO, apart from working on the enlisting of this exceptional site on the World Heritage List, the UNESCO World Heritage List, as it would be the very first of Cameroon on this list, the more important point for us and the more important objective is try to enhance the value of the site as an economic potential, as a touristic potential, something that would help the communities living around the site to really benefit and be resilient economically with the advent of tourists, to have creative and cultural industries created here, at the same time of preserving the historical value of the site. This is the work that our expert is here to do, together with a team of architects, of historians, who will be working on this project in the coming few days. And we hope that by the end of this mission, we can really submit a UNESCO initiative for the touristic routes, which Cameroon is so rich of. And this is something of a great priority for UNESCO. It's a country that is really the Africa in miniature. It has all the resources possible, and its touristic importance and its historical value is no exception to that.
Now, so you mentioned of economic value, which is very important, and you talk about expert. If we look at the structures, with years, climate change and so on is actually depreciating and dilapidating. Are the experts going to recreate the site?
Absolutely. This is one of the objectives of this mission, is try to recreate the site and make it a touristic attraction for the tourists to come. When anybody comes, when the students who will be coming here to learn the history of their own country and to learn about this exceptional value, they have to see. So one of the techniques and other sites used, for example, is 3D recreation, 3D modeling, and this is exactly what the UNESCO team will be working on.
When are we expecting this project to kick off?
Well, this is the very first phase of this whole initiative, this whole project. So it's a first step in many, and we hope that we will be able to accomplish it as soon as possible. It will not be immediate, of course, because as my colleague just mentioned, the project of enlisting a site on the World Heritage List is a lengthy process, but UNESCO will spare no effort to assist in having this process completed as soon as possible and in the most professional way possible, and make of this site a real attraction with all the international standards that will attract visitors and students. This is my personal priority that I'm according it. I want all the students, the children, the young men and women of this country to get to know their own history, to get to know the exceptional richness that Cameroon has.
When you visit this site, you're not a Cameroonian. What nostalgic feeling are you taking? The very fact that this was an area where Cameroonians were bundled, taken to another country. What nostalgic feeling are you
taking? Absolutely, it's a breathtaking impression that I have. It's of course it has very deep effect on ones when we see, especially the point, the door of no return, the part where they were fed. These are things that really touch you, but it's part of the history. And as my colleague said, we are not talking about slaves. We are talking about free men of Cameroon, free men and women who were captured. And this is the fact, the historical fact that we are trying to revalorize. Thank you so much.
Being a project that entails more hands and support, the team equally depends on the collaboration of the inhabitants in the area. The team hopes to complete the project as soon as possible, even though it requires time. With this, they will be able to submit the UNESCO initiative for the touristic route, which is Cameroon and is reach of and a great priority to UNESCO. Recreating the site and make it a touristic attraction for the tourists to come in is one of the objectives of the mission. With the use of techniques like the 3D mutilation and 3D modeling, tourists and students will benefit greatly. Still at its first phase, UNESCO aims at working in a most professional way possible and make the site a real attraction with all the international standards that will attract visitors and students. The team calls on the service of women, men, youth association, community leaders, religious leaders and authorities to make it a great success. According to inhabitants of the area, some setbacks faced for over 2 to 3 years now are the influx of tourists due to the socio-political crisis in the south and northwest regions. However, they continue to protect and preserve the site for such purposes. The aspect of bad contractors is equally among. The people expect a realization of the work and the site be listed to rehabilitate, reconstruct, and make it sustainable for Cameroonians and students in particular.
A nationwide COVID-19 vaccination campaign has been launched over the national territory. Let's have the details.
April 26, 2021 marked the launch of the 19-nation vaccination campaign. The campaign follows the receipt of 200,000 doses of the Chinese Sinopharm vaccine and 391,000 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine of the COVAX facility. Vaccines aimed primarily at the target groups. But before you go to one of the 119 accredited health centers, you need to be sure that there are a set of precautions. It is best if you have symptoms to get vaccinated. Go to a health training. You will be asked to do a COVID-19 test first. Finish taking care of yourself so you can go to a health training to apply for a vaccine, recommends Brice Edzwa, coordinator of the expanded Central Region Immunization Program. It is therefore not recommended that people with symptoms of the pandemic apply for the risks of further degrading their health and at worst lose their lives. The risk is to confuse the effects of the disease. If you have malaria, for example, you have not treated and you feel a little fever, you will take a vaccine. The value will evolve and will just remember that if you are hospitalized, it is because you got vaccinated, while you already knew at the beginning that it was already not going well. However, it is recommended to give an injection to protect yourself from the disease while further removing all risks. If we do not comply with the barrier measures, the strengthening of humanitarian defenses will be out of date, said Professor Tintanye Ekwe, a member of the Scientific Council. A reminder that calls on Cameroonians to respect the anti-COVID-19 actions enacted by the government as part of its response strategy. Vaccinated or not, the wearing of the mask remains mandatory as it is symptomatic. Washing of hands with clean water flowing with soap or using a hydroalcoholic gel. Due to this comes the vaccine.
You are watching the newscast on CAM1 television. On to education, where higher institutions will soon have 40 qualified advisors in the job market, thanks to the evaluation of experience VAE. Let's have the report.
The announcement was made during a workshop chaired on April 26, 2021 by the Secretary General of the Ministry of Higher Education. How can we value the experience gained, translate it into skills and turn it into a diploma? The VAE, Valuation of Experience, answers this question. In the coming days, Cameroon will have about 40 future ready-to-use advisors. This very first vintage took place Monday, April 26, 2021 in Yaoundé in the third workshop of the implementation of the VAE system in Cameroon. Our country is committed to valuing this experience. If Goodwill Ambassador Roger Miller becomes a sports teacher tomorrow and any who will challenge his skills, his experience in the field of football, no, says Wilfred Nyumbed Gapsa, Secretary General of the Ministry of Higher Education. The VAE, valuing the experience, is an individual right open to all without conditions of status, level training, age, or qualification. It aims to showcase the experience gained and translate it into a diploma. Some people do not have the experience that doctors have. They also have the right to receive academic credentials. Their skills must be recognized, continues the Secretary General. After certification, initial continuing education and learning. The enhancement of experience is the fourth part of training available to Cameroon, supported technically in this process of modernization of higher education by University Agency of Francophonie, AUF. The idea is from the perspective of lifelong learning, and this learning is not just done at university. It is also done in the world of work, in personal experiences which they can be validated and then count as university education, says Aissatu Hunu, Director of Central African and Great Lakes. Two Senegalese experts were invited to give these 40 future VAE advisors the necessary tools for the implementation of this scheme in Cameroon. In the near term, therefore, for example, we will have Bruce or Scoop professors, provided that these practices coincide with academic and professional standards.
Onto our foreign page, India records a break wave of COVID-19 cases and deaths as the World Health Organization chief voiced it on Monday. Let's have the details with Anyache Regina.
India's situation this present moment is an unpleasant news for the ears to hear as the nation bleeds. Its state calls for serious measures. According to Tedros Adhanom, the virus According to Tedros Adhanom, the coronavirus has taken a different turn in their country to the extent of not having space in their hospitals, which has in turn forced the capital city Delhi to extend a week-long for the lockdown. He goes further to say, the World Health Organization is doing everything possible to give them equipment and supplies. As a result, they have sent thousands of oxygen concentrators. The WHO adds that it has transferred more than 2,600 of its experts from different programs, including polio and tuberculosis, to work with India health personnel to help them respond to the pandemic. A nation of over 1.3 billion people has become the latest hotspot for the pandemic, which has killed more than 3 million people worldwide. Even as some rich countries take the bold step by trying to normalize things with the vaccination programs, the US and Britain offers Take Two. The US and Britain offered Take Two. The US and Britain offered ventilators and vaccine materials to help India curb this pandemic, while a handful of other countries also offer in their support.
We now talk sports, where Thierry Henry, Alain Shearer have been inducted into the Premier League Hall of Fame. The report.
Thierry Henry and Alain Shearer were on Monday named as the first players inducted into the official Premier League Hall of Fame in recognition of a combined 435 goals and 7 Golden Boot awards. Arsenal's all-time top scorer Henry won 2 Premier League titles under Arsene Wenger and was part of the Invincibles team that went unbeaten throughout the 2003-2004 title-winning campaign. France's record goal scorer and 1998 World Cup winner scored more than 20 Premier League goals in 5 consecutive seasons between 2001, 2003 and 2005-2006 to be inducted alongside Alain Shearer as the 2 first inductees into the Premier League Hall of Fame is more than special, said Henry. When I was young, I was just trying to make sure I could get a pair of boots, and now we are talking about the Hall of Fame. Shearer, who won the title with Blackburn in 1995, is the Premier League's record goal scorer, netting 260 goals in the 14 seasons for Blackburn and Newcastle. When you look at some of the unbelievable players to have graced the Premier League week in, week out, year in, year out, I feel very honoured to join the Hall of Fame, said the former England captain. All I have wanted to be was a professional footballer. It was my dream to do that, my dream to win trophies, and my dream to score at St. James Park, to wear the number 9 black and white shirt, and it was fantastic. I enjoyed every minute of it. The Premier League said the Hall of Fame recognizes and celebrates the exceptional skill and talent of individuals who have graced the Premier League since its inception in 1992. Alain Shearer and Thierry Henry are 2 world-class players who will light up their Premier League throughout their time in the competition, said Premier League Chief Executive Richard Master. Both players were capable of scoring every kind of goal, including some of the best we have ever seen. A short list of 223 additional nominees will be announced later on Monday, with fans invited to vote to help select the remaining 6 inductees to the 2021 Premier League Hall of Fame.
It's with this sports report that brings us to the end of our newscast on CAM1 television. Then before we go, let's revisit our top stories. Limbe welcomes a newly appointed chief of police who promises to bring peace and security in the town. The recently created Veterinary Center in the Limbe 2 subdivision has as chief of center Ms. Janet Aminken. And India records a break wave of COVID-19 cases and deaths. We had contributions from Ibonge Perez, Anyache Regina, and myself, Sylvain Bole, for presentation. Stay tuned to other programs on CAM1 television. Have a blessed day.